Hi everybody, welcome back to the third video for Business Management 3.4. Today we're going to be starting the secondary study, which is focusing on managing employees within the business. So the area study starts off with the relationship between managing employees and business objectives. So essentially what we're going to be doing here is linking the way in which managing employees through motivation, all those extra types of things we learned throughout the area study, how those can achieve the 4 business objectives that we learned in the last area study, being to make profit, to make market share, to fulfill a social need, and to meet shareholder expectations. So the 2 easiest ones are definitely to make a profit and to make market share. So we're going to be focusing on those primarily, but we'll also quickly touch on the other 2. So just to start off, remember that employees work in the business in exchange for pay. And so without employees working within the business to achieve the business's objectives, the business can't make those objectives of increasing profit and market share. So when we talk about managing employees, we are talking about motivating employees. So having productive employees who want to work hard and care about the business. So ways that the business can do that is through training, through giving them rewards, all those extra things that we'll learn throughout the course. So the first way to link managing employees to increasing profit is by first starting with managing employees through training and rewards. So if you give employees all those incentives, they are going to be more satisfied with their job. They're going to want to work harder, and therefore they're going to be more productive in their job. What that then means is that the business is making more sales or generating more product, and therefore the business has more sales and more profit. Another way to link business objective of market share to training and motivating employees through rewards is, again, by having more productive employees through training, incentives, rewards. The quality of the services and the quality of the goods that the employees are creating is going to be of a high quality because they really care about the product and they're investing a lot of time and energy into making those goods and services. And so as a result, the business's market share should also increase because the quality of those goods and services are good. So customers will choose that company's products over others in the industry. You know, if you think that the employees at Coles are of a higher quality than the employees at Woolworths cash registers, you might go to Coles over Woolworths. And so as a result, Coles is gaining market share. Another good thing to think about is the fact that if you have productive employees, they are reducing the cost of labour because instead of making 10 products in 1 hour, they can make 100 products in 1 hour. And so as a result, it increases the business's profit because they have less expenses. Another thing to think about is that if you have motivated employees, they like their job more. They have more job satisfaction. And so as a result, they're going to be less inclined to leave the business. And we call that staff turnover in business management. So staff turnover is the number of employees who leave the business and need to be replaced. And so when an employee leaves the business, it's very expensive because you need to find someone else to replace them and also train them up. So by eliminating the number of employees who are leaving the business, you're also reducing the costs associated with that, which in turn increases the business's profit. So they're the best ways to link it to the business objectives of increasing profit and increasing market share. If you were going to link it to shareholder expectations, you would just take all the ones I've spoken about in relation to profit and then make that final link in saying that if they have more profit, the business has more dividends for the shareholders because all the profit is divided between the shareholders and therefore they get a greater share of the business's profits. In relation to social objectives, it's a bit harder with this one. All I really would, to be honest, I would avoid using it, and it's not really anything that would come up on an exam or SACs because it's a bit obscure. The only way really would be that if you motivate employees, you could fulfill a social need by having employees go to training days in charity or having them learn a skill that allows them to give back to the community, which then achieves the business objective of fulfilling a social need. or hiring employees would then motivate, hiring employees from disadvantaged backgrounds and that kind of thing would motivate the rest of the employees because they feel inclusive and it's a diverse workforce. And so as a result, you'd be fulfilling your social need of the business objective of fulfilling a social need as well. But it's really not important, that one, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. Definitely focus on the two that we've been through in detail today. So to start off with this next little bit of the area study, we're just going to work through motivation very quickly. So essentially this whole section of the area study is focused on motivation. And so motivation measures the willingness of employees to work hard and how dedicated they are to achieving business objectives. So motivation is very similar to productivity and job satisfaction. The three kind of go hand in hand, because if you have motivated employees, they're going to work harder because they like their job, they're not slacking off, and they feel like they're expected to work hard, and they know the benefits of working hard. And also, if your employees are motivated, they're going to also like their job. Demotivated employees is a sign that there's very low job satisfaction. So all these motivation strategies also improve productivity and job satisfaction within the workforce. So the first theory that we need to go through is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So in the course, there are 3 theories that we learn. This is the first one, and it's probably the most in-depth, the most to it out of the 3 of them. So as we see here, Maslow's hierarchy of needs is a pyramid. And so the hierarchy means that all employees start off on this first need. And as they're motivated, they work their way up. So they'll start off at a physical, we call it, there's different schools call it different things. There's physical needs and also physiological needs. They're interchangeable. So starting off at physiological needs, and all employees are motivated by their basic pay, working conditions when they first, are employed. And once as all employees have that, when they start a job, it's really illegal to not provide physiological needs. They're going to be motivated by the security or safety needs. Once those safety and security needs are satisfied, they're going to move up and be motivated by the social needs. Once the social needs are achieved, they're going to be motivated by self-esteem needs. And once those are achieved, they're going to be motivated by the highest form, self-actualization needs. So now we're going to go through each need in a bit more detail. As we said before, the needs need to be met in order. And what that also means is that the manager has to identify where on the pyramid each employee sits, because some might be at the first level, whilst others might be at the 4th or 5th level. And so what that means is that every employee has a specific need tailored to them, which is a lot more time consuming for managers because they have to figure out what will motivate every employee and then implement that. Another thing to note before we go through the needs is the difference between extrinsic and intrinsic needs. So the first 4 are extrinsic needs. They're things that the manager can provide to employees to motivate them. So training, rewards, promotions, social events. Whereas intrinsic is the highest need, self-actualization, that we'll go through in a second. But that's where the employee is motivated by themselves and not by the manager. So they're motivated by their desire to achieve their personal best. So definitely keep that in mind. It's something that helps to stand out and get the last couple of marks on a question on Maslow, just because it's not something that every student will add in. So now we're going to go through the 5 needs of Maslow. So starting off with physiological needs. This is your basic needs. And every single workplace in Australia would provide these to some extent. So it's really not a strong motivator. So these would be basic pay, basic working conditions, food, meal breaks, that kind of thing. So in an exam or in a SAC, you would very, very briefly touch on physiological needs and explain how all employees are likely to have these needs to begin with. And so they're unlikely to be motivated by them. No one's going to say, wow, this is so great, this job, because I'm getting minimum pay and minimum working conditions. So we really try to focus on the 4 above that one. So then moving on to safety needs, this is about the employee feeling secure in the workplace. So things like occupational health and safety hazards, making sure that there's no dangerous working environments, and also training on how to use dangerous equipment and chemicals and that kind of thing. Another good one to talk about for safety needs is job security, and that can be achieved through longer job contracts. So rather than employing someone on a casual basis, that they can be fired anytime on a 6-month contract, giving them longer job contracts so that they feel secure in their job and they're not anxious that they're going to be fired or their job is going to be, the contract's going to be terminated at any time. And so once those safety needs are met, and in most cases they would be, really the only time that you would maybe talk about this in a lot of detail would be in the case of like redundancy, when a business is going to fire a lot of employees at once. Maybe then you would talk about your safety needs. But again, just touch on it in an exam or a SAC, but don't focus too much on it. The next one is social needs. So this is all about having a positive corporate culture within the business. So through teamwork, collaboration, social events like Friday night drinks or Christmas parties, that kind of thing, to build a positive corporate culture where employees like coming to work because they have, good working relationships and it's a close working environment. The next need is self-esteem needs. So this is where employees are motivated by praise and recognition. This is often through things like performance-related pay and career advancement, because employees feel that the manager has recognized their hard work and is rewarding them with those kinds of incentives. Finally, we get to self-actualization needs. So remember, this is your intrinsic need. It's no longer about the manager motivating the employee. The employee can motivate themselves because they're at the highest level of the hierarchy. And so with this stage, the employee is going to be motivated by challenging work, a lot of delegation. So they have a lot of authority to make decisions. The manager said to them, you have full scope to make whatever decisions you like, rather than, being managed by the manager. Also, it may be through career advancement. So if you're given a promotion to, a high level within the business, you're going to have a lot of new skills that you need to learn. And so that will also motivate the employee because of the challenging work that's involved with the promotion. So they're the 5 needs of Maslow. And now we're going to move on to the second theory, which is the Locke and Latham goal setting theory. So Locke and Latham isn't as detailed as Maslow. So the 4 main things to know about Locke and Latham is that it's all about goal setting. So within that, the goals need to have been collaboratively set. So that means that employees and managers sit down and work out a goal that's mutually beneficial, one that achieves the business's objectives, but one that also helps the employee. So that ensures that the employee is motivated because they've helped to set it and it's something that they actually want. And at the same time, it's something that also helps the business. As well as that, collaborative set goals help improve working relationships between the managers and employees to improve corporate culture. Another thing that is really important about Locke and Latham is the fact that the goal has to be challenging. It can't be something that's super easy and can be achieved in a short period of time. It has to be something that motivates the employee through that challenging work. It's like VCE. If everybody got a 98-star, people wouldn't try. But because it's hard, it motivates everybody to try their hardest. So something that's attainable and not impossible, but something that is challenging to that specific employee. The third element of Locke and Latham is that the goals have to be specific and they have to be measurable. So something that the employee can work towards that gives them direction. So that might be to improve productivity by 30%, to reduce waste, that has a specific number attached to it so that the employee can track their progress. And also once they've achieved that goal, they have some way to recognize that. And the final element in the Locke and Latham goal setting theory is the feedback. So throughout the whole process of the employee achieving the goal and working towards the goal, it might be over a period of weeks or months, the manager is going to be giving the employee regular feedback. And that helps to keep the employee on track. And it also helps to ensure that the employee is on target. Also, the fact that by having feedback, the employee can get praise and recognition, And that helps to motivate them as well because they know they're doing the right thing, and that motivates them for the next coming weeks or month. And one other thing to note about Locke and Latham goal setting theory, like with Maslow, it's specific to every employee within the business. So every employee within the business will have a different goal that the manager has to sit down with them, create, and give them feedback on. So from the manager's perspective, it is quite time consuming. And now on to the third and final theory in the course. And this is Larence and Nohria's 4 drive theory. So unlike the other two, every single employee is motivated by each of the 4 drives at the same time. So this is a lot less time consuming from the other two from a manager's perspective, because they just have to do something that ticks off each of the 4 drives, and they don't have to worry about where each employee is at or what motivates each employee. They just do something for each of the 4, and that will motivate every employee within the business. That's definitely a strength of Larence and Nohria. So now let's go through the 4 drives of the theory. So one thing to note is with the drive to defend, it doesn't happen in every situation. So the drive to defend is all about a reluctance to change. And that's usually about termination. So an employee's reluctance to being fired or being made redundant, or the business moving overseas, which means that jobs will be lost. So the drive to defend really only kicks in certain situations. And when you have a case study, it would be clear when to use it. So as we said before, in situations where there's redundancy or firing of employees. It's not a day-to-day situation. It's only something when employees are fearful of their self-interest in the business. So they're fearful that they might be getting a pay cut, or their working conditions will deteriorate, or they'll be fired. The one way that managers can reduce that drive to defend in these situations is through open communication and involving employees in decision making, so that employees are aware of what's going on within the business and they don't feel threatened. And that will reduce anxiety and stress within the business significantly. So we call that blatant, where it only kicks in situations where employees are fearful. So be sure to mention that, and always mention the drive to defend, but just explain how it's not a constant drive. And if it's in relation to a case study, link that to the case study and explain how it is or isn't relevant to that case study. The other 3 drives are a lot more simple. So the first one is the drive to acquire. So acquire is just about gaining anything. And that might be money, prestige, recognition, a reward, career advancement, performance-related pay, all those different kind of things that that employees can achieve within the business. The next one is the drive to bond. So this again is like positive corporate culture, social events, teamwork, collaboration, and that motivates employees because they like coming to work, because they have friends and it's a positive working environment. And the final drive of Larence and Nohria is the drive to comprehend. So this again is about being motivated by challenging work that you want to understand and tackle and succeed. Also by training, because as you gain new skills and experiences through training, you comprehend your roles and expectations in the business better. Also through career advancement, as we said before, when you are given a promotion, there's lots of new tasks and roles that you're expected to learn, and that motivates employees as well. So now we've been through the 3 theories within the course. And within each, you'll often be asked to apply them to a case study or to evaluate them, going through the strengths and weaknesses of them, which we've been through so far. The other kind of thing that will come up often is to compare the 3 theories. So usually you would only have 2 and you compare one with the other. But it's good to practice comparing each of them so that you covered all the different types of questions that could come up in relation to the theories. So we're going to start off by comparing Maslow with the goal setting theory. So we'll start off by talking about the similarities between them. So before we start, remember that Maslow is the hierarchy of needs with the 5 different needs that we went through, and the goal setting theory was having challenging goals, collaborative goals, specific goals, and feedback. So what I think is a good way to do this as you're still learning, write down the 4 or 5 main things of each theory on a page, and you can see them in front of you like what we've done. Once you have this on you in an exam or in a SAC, or in practice questions, you can make the links quite easily, but when you're trying to remember what each theory is, it's a bit more harder. So to start off with, collaborative set goals of Locke and Latham is very similar to the social needs of Maslow, because collaboratively set goals improve working relationships with the employee and the manager, which motivates employees because they feel like it's a positive working environment. And that's the exact same as Maslow's third need of social needs. Another similarity between the two is that the challenging goals of the goal setting theory is similar to self-actualization needs. So remember that goals have to be hard but attainable, and that's what motivates employees from the goal setting theory. But as well as that, with self-actualization, it's the challenging work that motivates employees themselves, and they want to succeed at the end of it. So that's a very good link to make. Another link and similarity between them is the specific goals of the goal setting theory, something that the employee is working towards, that they have a direct target, which is similar to the self-esteem need, because once the employee achieves that goal, they get all the praise and recognition associated with that goal, which is similar to self-esteem needs, which is all about receiving praise and recognition. Another similarity between them is the regular feedback of the goal setting theory. So you can link that to self-esteem needs in the sense that the employee is gaining praise and recognition from the manager about their past performance, which motivates the employees to gain that goal in the future. You can also link it to self-actualization needs in the sense that the manager will give them more challenging things to do to achieve the goal. So they'll say, yeah, that's really great that you did that this month. Next month, we want you to do this, which is challenging, and it helps them to achieve the goal. Another way to link feedback would also be by talking about, it's again, interactions between employees and the manager. So it will improve the working relationships, which is very similar to the social needs of Maslow. Another similarity that we already spoke about is the fact that the goal setting theory is specific to employees. Every employee within the business has a different goal. And that's similar to Maslow. Remember that each employee is at a different need. So the managers have to work out what level of need they're at and implement a strategy to fulfill that need. So both are specific and targeted to that individual employee. And both are therefore time consuming because the manager has a lot more responsibilities in working out with each individual employee what motivates them. And the main difference between the two theories is that Maslow's theory is a hierarchy. So that means that each need needs to be fulfilled in order, whereas the goal setting theory doesn't really have anything like that. The next two theories that we're going to compare is the Maslow and 4 drive theory. So as we go on, you'll see that the similarities between these are very, very similar. And once you kind of know it for one, you'll be able to do it for all of them quite easily. So one similarity between Maslow and the 4 drive theory is the drive to bond with social needs. Both are all about teamwork, collaboration, positive working relationships, and a positive working environment to motivate employees to come to work and work hard because they love their job. Another similarity is the drive to comprehend with self-actualization needs. Remember, drive to comprehend is all about wanting to understand the challenging work and motivated by the challenge and the success that comes with achieving the challenge, which is very, very similar to self-actualization needs in the sense that it's the employee being motivated by themselves to overcome challenges. Another similarity between the two is the drive to acquire. Remember, that's just achieving goals in the business or achieving promotions, praise, rewards, performance-related pay, promotions, which is the same as self-esteem needs, which is all about gaining recognition and praise in the business through the same kind of things like promotions and performance-related pay. There are a few more differences between these than the last one. So one thing to note is that the drive to defend is unique. So as we said before, the drive to defend only kicks in certain situations where employees are threatened, which there's no real clear comparison to with Maslow. Also, as we spoke about before, Maslow is specific to employees. And so remember that every employee is at a different level in the hierarchy. Whereas for the 4-drive theory, all four drives motivate employees at the same time. So it's not specific to employees. And that means that, as we said before, Maslow is more time consuming because managers have to work out where in the hierarchy that employee sits and what will motivate them. Another clear difference is the fact that Maslow is a hierarchy, and as we've said before, each employee is motivated by the needs in order. Whereas with the 4-drive theory, there's no real kind of comparison to that. And finally, we're going to practice comparing the 4-drive theory with the goal-setting theory. So to start off with, the drive to bond is similar to collaborative set goals and also the feedback, because collaborative set goals and feedback improve working relationships between employees and the manager, and that motivates employees because they feel like it's a positive working environment, and it's better working relationships in a close-knit environment. Another similarity is the drive to acquire, and that's closest to specific goals, because with the drive to acquire, the employee is motivated by the achievement, which is similar to the specific goal, because as the employees achieve the goal and work hard to overcome the challenges, and achieve that specific goal that they've been working towards, they're going to have a lot of praise and recognition associated with that. So it's very similar to drive to acquire. You can also link the drive to acquire to feedback, in the sense that when the manager gives them feedback, they're going to say, we want you to improve on this, which then motivates the employee to achieve that, to achieve the overarching goal as well. And finally, the drive to comprehend is similar to challenging goals. Remember that the drive to comprehend is all about overcoming challenges and achieving the success that is associated with challenges, which is the same as the goal being challenging but not too challenging. That if it was easy, nobody could be bothered, but because it's hard, the employee wants to invest time in order to achieve it. As we've said before, the drive to defend is unique, and there's no real comparison with the goal-setting theory. It only kicks in certain situations where employees are threatened. Also, the goal-setting theory is specific to employees, so the goal is different for every single employee within the business. But remember that the 4-drive theory, each of the 4 drives motivates employees at the same time, so it's not specific. And so as a result, the goal-setting theory is a lot more time-consuming. So they're all the comparisons that we're going to go through today, and that brings us to the end of the first lesson of Area Study 2, Lesson 3. I hope this lesson has been helpful, and there are some questions to help you with what we've learned today. Bye.